Hello, this is my demonstration on the coherence principle. I have chosen a presentation on water pollution that I found on slideshare.net. I always do a water pollution lesson with my kindergarten students, which is why I chose this topic. This lesson here is a little advanced for my students, but it still works for this assignment. I'm going to go through just a couple of the slides in this presentation to show you why I believe that it violates the coherence principle. So when we take a look at the first slide here, we see words that give us information about pollution, but no images to support the words. I think it's good to have at least one image that's effective. Only words are on here, and the background border is a little bit much, and it doesn't really fit the presentation. It's kind of just there, and it doesn't need to be there. This is pretty much what I have found through this entire presentation. So every slide, almost every slide, has words and no images to support it, and that border that just doesn't need to be there. So here we have the image that went with the previous slide of toxic wastes. There probably could have chosen a better image to portray toxic wastes. And there's no words to go with it. Again, I'm just going to go through a couple more slides because this is pretty much the entire presentation, just slides filled with words. So what I have done is I took two slides, this one right here, and this slide, and I edited them in Google Slides. So I am going to bring up that so I can show you how I changed it. So here is the first slide. I took out the border, and I, kind of just used a gray background. I put a title at the top. I titled it Pollution Sources, and then I just listed the different sources of pollution that we saw in the previous presentation. In that presentation, it was almost the whole slide was just filled with sentences about pollution sources. Here, I made it less wordy, and I used one image to go with it so that you could kind of see what water pollution looks like. On the next slide, this slide was all about toxic wastes in the first presentation. What are toxic wastes? And it was an entire slide talking about toxic wastes. Again, I used less words. I took out the key words from the sentences, and I put them in bullets and just listed them. So you can see the words, you can see the main ideas, but I also put in a picture, and I believe that this is a better picture. The picture in the previous presentation did show different types of toxic wastes. It wasn't an actual photograph. It was more of a cartoon or graphic, as you would say. I like this image because it shows what the toxic wastes can do and look like when they're draining into water. So it's another image that really shows what water pollution is. So these are the two slides. This is how I chose to fix the slides from the original presentation. I think that they are a better example of the coherence principle because there aren't too many words. There isn't a background that doesn't need to be there, or a border that doesn't need to be there, that doesn't fit the presentation. The images fit the presentation, and there aren't too many of them. I think it's easy to read and look at and get the information that you want to get from this type of presentation. And here, this last slide is just my references from where I got my pictures for this presentation.